Good morning, triathlon and triathletes. Again, it's not morning anymore. It's 3:40. We're here for the episode 3 of Sub 5. Today's special episode, you might understand why. We have one guest, Andrea.
Hi, everybody.
And second guest, the camel. Unfortunately, is not on camera, but is here with us. Special episode of Sub 5 because it will probably be a little bit longer because of the special guest and the special story. So let's get it started. I got it right this time. Specularity is gonna work. And a special episode because we're gonna talk with Andrea about his latest challenge. Andrea still is my first athlete ever coach since 2017. And so far, the fastest one and the one who went longer. Because with this, you can see from his t-shirt, the reason he's here is because he's just finished an ultra Ironman, which is extreme Ironman.
Yeah.
Which is what's an ultra Ironman?
Basically, because an Ironman or like a full distance is not enough, you put like extreme conditions, like water super cold and a lot of elevation gain in both run and cycles. So yeah, that's the challenge that I faced.
Right. And which one exactly did you do? I mean, I can read it.
Yeah.
But
That's PATAGONMAN. So second edition of PATAGONMAN, as you can imagine, in Patagonia. So we're talking Chile, Patagonia. And yeah, it was 1st of December, so unusual time of the year to have a full distance, but yeah, it was funny, I can say.
Full disclosure, we've got two Italians speaking in English, so we're sorry about what's gonna happen, but we'll try our best. Anyway, PATAGONMAN sounds pretty tough already on the paper. What was the toughest moment during the race?
Well, it was a really long day. So, as you can imagine, with all those conditions, was pretty long. But probably the toughest was at the beginning. I would say in the middle of the swim. Because the swim was mainly in two blocks, let's say. So we were taken out from the shore with a ferry. So we were boarding at something like 4 a.m. A ferry in a dark situation. So
after 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't that cold at the moment, but of course. You can imagine that the temperature of the water was really cold. In fact, the day before they did a practice swim and it was about 9.5 degrees.
That hurts.
And that was probably in the area of the arrival. So, and probably outside was even less. Official temperature, they said around 10, but somebody else said that probably at the beginning of the swim was about 8.5 or something like that. So it was interesting. But going back to your question, I think the toughest moment was halfway through the swim. I was meant to swim together with my flatmate, so actually the entire race was meant to be with my flatmate John.
In an apartment, there are two nuts who are just training every day like maniacs, and they're doing this by the way, just like
exactly.
Yeah. So you were supposed to swim with your flatmate.
Yeah, exactly. So with my flatmate, that is a much faster swimmer. So the idea was just to stay on his feet and try to push as hard as I could. But after about 600 meters, I realized that he wasn't pushed too hard. At the beginning, I thought that it was for me, just to keep myself near him. But at the end, I realized that he had some serious problem that probably we'll talk about later. But basically, the hardest part was halfway. So I look at my watch and I was about 2,000 meters. So I had still 1,800 to get to the end of the swim, and it was getting cold. I was getting cold, especially my hands. So it was pretty tough. It wasn't about gliding and swim in a good way. So it was just trying to move the arms as fast as I could to reach the finish of the swim. So it wasn't really easy, but at least the surround was really good. And when you're in the water and you see the mountains around that have snow, there's something wrong with it, but we did it. We survived almost, and so it was a good experience there.
So before going to some nicest memory, how did you prepare to swim in those waters, like gear-wise and training-wise?
In terms of training, I said, maybe I can try a couple of swim in cold water, like open water swim, which I never did in the end. What I just did was testing the wetsuit, which was a thermal wetsuit with gloves and gloves, socks, and balaclava. So I actually posted a few pictures on Instagram, and they're not nice to see. So we looked like two strange people going around with a full balaclava. And we just tested it in a lake there in Chile, and at least it was the right size. So luckily it fits me.
But so the work you do in thermal training is super important, but in this kind of situation, of course, the gear is fundamental, especially when the water is 8 degrees. But as you hear from Andrea, even if you prepare with method for this kind of events, 8 degrees is very tough to swim in this condition. I'm sure there were good moments, good memories out of that. Which ones?
Yeah, I think I mean, the surrounding was amazing. I think if I was doing that kind of challenge somewhere else where there wasn't such a nice surrounding around you, would have been much tougher. So the run was really cool in some moments because it was like in the middle of nowhere with the nature and around you. So, and not many competitors, because we're talking only about 300, which I think around 175 or something like that finished. Not all of them started. Probably somebody as well just bailed out before boarding the ferry. But I think the moment I preferred the most was just about the finish of the climb. We're talking about 160 kilometers into the bike. We were climbing. At one point, the road opens up, and you have this huge mountain in front of you, which also changed the color of between levels, meaning that you see different, probably, how can I say, different layers of rocks, and it was really good. Although I was just with 3 gears, but at least I could. They weren't the wrong gears.
Because the derailleur stopped working.
Yeah, at kilometer 135, my rear derailleur was jumping, and I said, okay, let me clean it a little bit, my chain, but actually got worse. And then we spent probably 40 minutes trying to fix the problem. Luckily, John and another guy that was racing, he stopped as well, and we managed. Yeah, in fact, it was a really good gesture from him. So he helped us, and I managed to have three gears that were probably quite good for the last climbs that I had, and then just trying to be as aerial as possible to get to 175k, which was the end of the bike.
And that kind of brings us to another question, which is kind of related to this moment and the hardest moment of the race, because you train and you prepare, of course, in a different environments, mostly like indoors on the turbo, or in UK, which is not like Patagonia at all. How did you? Which were the hardest moment in trainings, and were those moments helping you afterwards when the race got tough?
I think the hardest moment during the training period was, I would say, so basically we've done a first month which I think I arrived to about 65 hours of training in a month, so it was quite good. And after that first month I was in Italy for a couple of days, and usually when I go to Italy I've got an alarm on Monday morning really early, something like 4:30, so I can be in the office on Monday morning around 9, and basically there is where the routine of the training goes out a little bit of the window, and I miss a couple of days of training, and it's I was worried to not be able to keep that good momentum on the training, but luckily I got back into it. And I have to say that although I did long stuff, so like 5 or 6 hour ride or 2.5 and 3 hours run, at least I was able to enjoy the outdoor. I really like the fact that you go around in autumn and you can see all their colors around you. So, and I've done mostly on my own. So I was happy with the fact that at least I had nice colors around me, and I was also preparing mentally to face that challenge, because in the end I think we had 8 hours bike ride, so it was quite long, and all those trainings were good for that. And even more when I had only 3 gears left, and I was like grinding on the climbs, and thanks of the turbo on 50 RPM strength sessions, I was able to finish it. I was almost enjoying it, actually.
Almost. There's always an almost. Well, yeah, to prepare for these sort of challenges, you need to train definitely a bigger volume, different kind of mindset, because it's a very lonely training most of the times. The challenge itself is the big thing, and it took you 16 hours.
Yeah, 16 hours apparently. It took me 1 hour and 16 to do the 3.k swim that of course start with the jump of the ferry in the dark, and I have to admit that instinctively I hold hands with John.
That's a bromance there.
As we were about to jump, it was like instinctively, and we jumped.
It was like Jack and Rose in Titanic. I jump if you jump.
Yeah, I mean the jump itself was like, ooh, cool, but it lasts about a second, and then in that freezing cold water, and then you start. But it was.
So the question is, why you do it? It's because you want to hold hands with John and feel okay with that?
No, thanks God, not for that. I don't know. I think if there was a part of the world that I wanted to explore in that kind of way, let's say running and cycling around, maybe not swimming, but it is and it was Patagonia. So and when I entered, it was a ballot, and I said, "Yeah, we will never get it." So,
And then,
but then somehow we got 2 spots for myself and John, and it was too late to say no, basically.
So probably Michelle, who's one of our friends, has been trying to get into Norseman, which is another extreme, for years. And he never got a place, so he probably should try the ballot for Patagonia.
Yeah, with Patagonia, if you finish top 2 for both male and female, you get a place at Norseman, and then they pick up.
You have to just go to Patagonia and win the Patagonia.
And then they do the ballot with the people that finish the race, and you have 2 + 2 additional entries.
So maybe for Michelle, it's your good opportunity. Yeah. Okay, so you've done 1 full Ironman.
Yeah.
And several half, like.
Yeah, we're talking
6.
about 5 probably. Yeah.
And 1 extreme Ironman. Yeah. So, are you gonna do a double Ironman? What's next?
I think so. While we were actually running, so the run was pretty much up and down, and there were bits that you could run, but other bits that you could only walk because it was really steep. We were saying, even if they pay for everything, I mean, if we get an entry to Norseman and they pay for everything, accommodation, flight, and entries, and whatever it is, we are not gonna say yes. That was the part of during the race.
Yeah.
The mind wasn't. Was focusing on finish it, and that was it. Now, of course, the good memories are just there, and the bad memories are starting to fade.
Risky.
But I will say that next year we'll be probably focusing on half, and then we'll see. So I think one full every 2 years is a good thing.
Sounds good. Yeah.
We'll see. Cool. Let's see if I can get any faster on the half.
There's always scope to become faster. We didn't get any faster today because we wanted to do sub 10, but we are above 15.
So 16 as the race, almost.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute per hour that Andrea spent in Patagonia doing his race. So thanks, Andrea, for joining me today, and good luck with your training with like the mean spy carb loading for now. And
we'll talk about it after Christmas, for sure.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from us. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Goodbye also from the camel and the 2 Italians, the 2 donkeys and the camel.
Bye.
Bye.